To close out the discussion of the Professional Engineers Act's two standards around ethics, we'll look at the penalties that are possible under failing to meet both or either of those two ethical hurdles. There's a three-stage process involved in investigating misconduct of a professional engineer. The first stage involves gathering evidence relating to the claim of misconduct. The second stage consists of considering that evidence formally in a complaints committee, and the complaints committee at that point can decide to stop the investigation or pass it on to a discipline committee. The final stage, stage 3, requires a completely different group of people to perform a formal disciplinary hearing on the evidence gathered. So in the first stage, the investigation and the evidence gathering, this is run by the PEO's complaints committee. The person who has a complaint is required to fill out a form and provide documentary evidence of the complaint. That form and evidence will be provided to the engineer who's been investigated, and they can provide a written response. PEO staff members then go about the process of collecting any other relevant evidence, and will also interview the engineer who's being investigated about the misconduct. At the end of stage 1, the PEO staff members write a complaint summary which details the allegations of the complainant, and they provide that to the practitioner. Once the information has been gathered, there is a formal consideration of the misconduct by the complaints committee of PEO. The committee reviews the complaint created by the complainant, the response from the practitioner, the investigation file, and the staff member's complaint summary. They then decide whether there is a case to answer or not. This process can take from 2 to 3 months to over a year, but during these two phases, the complaints are confidential. If misconduct heads to stage 3, this requires a formal disciplinary hearing, which is held in front of the disciplinary committee, which is a different committee from the complaints committee. There are no common members between the two committees. So the disciplinary committee will re-evaluate all the material already evaluated by the complaints committee. In a disciplinary hearing, the person who creates the complaint may be required to testify. And also, the engineer who is under investigation will now no longer be guaranteed confidentiality. The information about the conduct may become public knowledge at this point. And so in addition to the 2 to 3 months to a year of investigating and holding a complaints committee, there's then a further 6 months to a year required to hold a disciplinary hearing in order to decide a final outcome. There are 9 outcomes possible in a disciplinary hearing. The disciplinary committee may decide to cancel the practitioner's license or certificate of authorization, or suspend it, or limit the professional work in some way by a limitation on the license. Or they may impose other terms or conditions on that practice. They may require the engineer to go through additional technical exams to show that they have relevant engineering knowledge. They may impose a fine of up to $5,000, and they may impose any other reprimand or other actions specified in the Professional Engineers Act, which is basically a placeholder for other actions that may be needed in future. They will also publish the results of the disciplinary hearing, typically in the blue pages in Engineering Dimensions every month, either in detail or in summary, with or without the name of the practitioner. Typically, if at the disciplinary committee level the practitioner is told that they are not guilty of professional misconduct, There is often still a write-up in the blue pages without the name of the practitioner in order to inform other engineers of the potential issues around the actions taken. The practitioner can appeal any decision made by the disciplinary committee. And the disciplinary committee is not the only action that could be taken against an engineer. Clearly, there may be other legal action that's taken to pursue the engineer for other damages or other issues. And by way of illustration, this is the actual room where disciplinary committee hearings are held in PEO headquarters in Toronto. It looks very much like a lower court setting you would see in other more traditional courts of law to give the relevant weight and importance to such a hearing event. So just a final note to remind you of the difference between discipline and enforcement. Discipline is aimed at professional engineers, whereas enforcement is for people engaging in engineering activities who are not engineers, either illegally practicing engineering, illegally using the title of professional engineer, or other such acts. Enforcement can involve fines, orders to comply with the Professional Engineering Act, or in the more extreme cases could actually include jail time.